every time we have an election, somebody will say, this is the most important election that we've ever had. Well, I can say it tonight, and you know I'm right. Truly my pleasure to introduce the next senator from the state of Nebraska, Senator Bob Kerrey.
Well, the Republican Party's made a fair amount of issue about Harry Reid talked me into running. Harry Reid did not talk me into running. What I know from personal experience is if you're going to run, you call your leader to get on the committees you want. You call your leader to try to get as much seniority restored as you possibly can. Why? In order to be more effective for the people you're going to be representing. And that's what I did. If you're talking to your friends and they're worried about, gee, is Stratcom going to get closed? I promise you Deb Fischer's going to have no impact other than her budget's likely to increase the chances that it gets shut down. The three promises that I'm making in this campaign, the first is to put country first ahead of politics. And I'm not worried about making Harry Reid mad, or certainly not worried about making Mitch McConnell mad. I'm have to make both of them mad. I do see this country as all of us in together. And I do see the benefit from helping people that need help. I helped build a veterans home up in Norfolk. Ben and I actually worked together on that. We built one here, Thomas Fitzgerald Home, and one out in Scottsbluff as well. And I tell you, you're getting your money's worth. And of all the things this campaign is going to boil down to, it's Deb Fischer's vision for what government can do versus mine. She's got a very pinched, it's basically Grover Nordquist's vision. And it will dramatically change life in Nebraska, mostly for the worse, in my view. She's not going to want to fess up to that. She's going to want to use slogans to try to get people to say, I want to support her because she supports a balanced budget amendment. But it's a balanced budget that would take spending down to a level that wouldn't let us build these veterans' homes, wouldn't let us take care of these kids when they come back, wouldn't let us provide Medicare coverage for seniors in Nebraska, wouldn't let us continue to move forward with the Affordable Health Care Act. So there'll be many areas connected to her vision of this country and the budget that she supports. That is a big difference. So I say to you, you're not going to like, tell your friends and neighbors who are independent and Republican, they're not going to like America if we end up with Deb Fischer's budget. You're just not going to like it. It's good, maybe it's good political jargon and good sloganing, but it's terrible policy for our country. So the second thing that I'm saying is that I do promise to cross party lines. Well, I think there's a moral imperative to balance the budget. I think there's a moral imperative to simplify our tax code. I think there's a moral imperative to finally reform our immigration law. And not again, my God, Deb Fischer won't even give somebody a pathway to citizenship who serves in the military. Look, we have right to say that we're going to decide how many people can come in the United States. But our current immigration policy is bad. And you're not going to get it changed unless you cross party lines to get it changed. You're not going to get it changed sitting in the Republican or the Democratic caucus, hurling talking points out in the middle to please your base. And that's basically what's been going on in my view. Well, the last thing that I'm promising, and I'm deadly serious about this one, Washington needs to change. It's gotten worse. And I do think it's connected to the rules. Deb Fischer already said I'm going to be Mitch McConnell's 51st vote. I'm not a 51st vote for anybody. Washington needs to change its rules. It needs to organize itself in a nonpartisan fashion. It needs to establish some reasonable limitation on terms. And it needs to pass laws that will ban the outside money that's being spent and limit what can be spent in campaigns so that people don't give up on democracy as a consequence of believing what influence do they have looking at all the money that gets spent. Because I don't think unless we change those rules that we're going to get the kind of outcome that the American people expect. Look, we're in a situation right now where neither presidential candidate and neither vice presidential candidate has served in the military. 80% of the Congress has never served. Well, I promise you it matters. We have an all-volunteer force today. I mean, I volunteered for the United States Navy because I was about to be drafted by the Army. I wasn't overcome with patriotism or anything like that. It's a different deal today. You actually got to look around to find people that we know that's in the service. And it becomes easier as a result in some perverse way. Say, yeah, let's go to war. We all get worked up at the beginning of these darn wars. And then we discover, oh, God, they're actually killing people and dying. I didn't know that. And then we want to get out of them. Well, I promise you this. If I can't answer absolutely yes, that I'd be willing to let my now 10-year-old, tomorrow 11-year-old son go to that war and potentially die. If I answer maybe, my vote's going to be no. And if I can't persuade all of you that we ought to pay for it, as opposed to borrowing the money from the Chinese, I mean, we got a treaty with Taiwan. And the terms and conditions of that treaty are that if China invades Taiwan, we got to go to war with China. The problem is we got to borrow the money from the Chinese in order to do it. You know, it's wrong. If we're gonna send the Ben Craigs and others off to fight for us, we got to be willing to pay for it. And if we're not willing to pay for it, it's a pretty good test that we're not that serious about it. There's 79 Nebraskans, men and women, who paid the ultimate price for fighting for freedom in Iraq and Afghanistan. They won't be voting this fall. Do not forfeit your obligation to vote. Don't let your disillusionment with politics and politicians cause you to say, I'm not going to vote. It's critical, in my view. This race is winnable. And what happens over the next 60 days, what happens over the next 60 days is going to determine whether or not we win. Not just me. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. It's in our interest for the middle class to grow. It's in our interest for poverty rates to go down. It's in our interest, our personal interest, for those 100,000 men and women who are working today, who are going to get insurance starting in 2014. It's in our interest that they do so. So I'll stop. Renee, Judy, all the hosts, I want to thank you. I thank as sincerely as I can make myself sound. I mean, I genuinely am moved by your support in this campaign, but we got a lot of work to do between now and the 6th of November. And if we do that work and persuade Nebraskans that not only am I the best choice, but I'm the best for them, we'll win this election, and we'll celebrate it, and we'll have fun over the next 6 years. Thank you very much. Well done.